Hi, welcome back guys. This is your Sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Naruto Wielded Blades of Chaos. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Naruto returned home from training with his sensei, focusing on his chakra control while his teammates learned new jutsu. He felt a sense of favoritism from his sensei, who seemed to favor his two teammates, knowing the reasons behind the harsh treatment Naruto received from others. Unbeknownst to him, his sensei harbored similar feelings. Determined to improve, Naruto headed to the library and searched for books on chakra control, discovering techniques like water walking. He understood what he needed to do and began gathering useful books. As he created clones to absorb the knowledge from these texts, he gained insights from each of them. Naruto made 50 clones to study ninjutsu, 50 for chakra control, 100 for taijutsu, and another 100 for fuinjutsu, focusing on sealing techniques. He recognized the importance of seals, especially since he bore one that contained the 9 tails. He thought it might be beneficial in a future encounter with a tailed beast, allowing him to restrict its movements or chakra. Back at home in his bedroom, Naruto immersed himself in the basics of fuinjutsu. After finishing the book, he created clones to practice the techniques. He then visited the blacksmith, purchasing weights for his limbs, which cost a significant amount. Once he left the shop, he strapped the weights on and began walking home, feeling the heaviness but managing to reach his door. Upon entering his house, he found 10 clones working on ninjutsu, 5 on fuinjutsu, and 5 on taijutsu. Naruto moved around his room, attempting push-ups but struggling to complete even 10 before collapsing onto the ground. As he lay there, he noticed numbers appearing above each clone. Curiously, he focused his chakra, activating a new ability that caused his clones to dispel, allowing him to absorb their knowledge. In that moment, he saw his reflection, his eyes glowing blue. Shocked by this transformation, Naruto removed his weights and quickly fell asleep, feeling exhausted from the chakra usage. When he awoke, all his clones had dispelled. He walked to the mirror and noticed his eyes had activated again, and his hair had turned black. He closed his eyes, focusing to calm himself, and soon his hair returned to its usual orange, and his eyes returned to normal. Taking a deep breath, he activated his eyes once more, watching as his hair shifted back to black. Curiosity led him outside, where he spotted a beacon of red light. Following it, he discovered a crack in space. As he stepped through, he encountered a demon. Without hesitation, Naruto charged forward and struck it, but his hand passed through the creature. The demon retaliated, launching an attack that sent him stumbling back. Determined, Naruto created 5 clones, who removed their weights and hurled them at the demon. Though the demon was momentarily staggered, it quickly recovered. All of Naruto's clones unleashed explosive kunai, hitting the demon and sending it crashing into the wall of a nearby house, still alive. Suddenly, lightning struck near the crack in space. Naruto moved inside the building, where he found 2 blades. As he grasped them, he felt a surge of heat coursing through his body, and chains extended from the blades, wrapping around his arms. The blades, known as the Blades of Chaos, ignited a burning sensation on his arms. Exiting the house, the demon approached again, unleashing a lightning bolt. Naruto analyzed the attack and, with newfound precision, dodged it. He then unleashed a flurry of slashes, cutting the demon into numerous pieces before moving back toward the crack in space, which snapped shut behind him. Returning to his apartment, he changed into new orange clothes and made his way to Training Ground 12, where he began slashing through the trees. As he moved through the forest, he felt the weight of the Blades of Chaos resting on his shoulders. Eventually, he returned to his room, stopped the chakra flow to his eyes, and fell into a deep sleep, ready for whatever challenges awaited him next. Naruto woke up and got ready for the day, taking a shower and putting on the clothes he had made before heading to the academy. Upon entering, he spotted Sakura and Satsuki, who still had 20 minutes to spare. As he looked around, he noticed a girl in green spandex approaching him. She introduced herself as Lei and declared her intention to defend him with her life, asking if he would be her boyfriend. The surrounding students couldn't help but cough in surprise. Naruto suggested they get to know each other first, to which Lei agreed, complimenting his youthful spirit. Nearby, two individuals caught Naruto's attention, a weapons mistress and a member of the Hyuga clan. As the crowd shifted, Naruto sensed a genjutsu concealing the second floor, leading to the third. He realized there were two Jinchuriki present, one with the one tail and another with the two tails. He noted their presence and decided to avoid them for now. In a different area, Yujito, the host of the two tails, felt Matatabi, her beast, staring at Naruto. Matatabi expressed admiration for Naruto, causing Yujito to blush and scold her for her thoughts. Meanwhile, Gaara, the host of the one tail, struggled with his own urges as Shikaku, the beast within him, expressed a desire to engage with Naruto. As the test began, Team 7 performed well, but 10 participants were eliminated. They were reminded that any mistakes would prevent them from participating in future Chunin exams. Ultimately, 18 candidates remained, 4 from the leaf, 2 from the whirlpool, 1 from the sand, 1 from the cloud, 5 from stone, and 4 from sound. They made their way to the Forest of Death, where Anko, the second instructor, awaited them. After 20 minutes, everyone arrived, and the rules of the exam were explained. They needed to acquire the enemy's scroll and reach the tower. Once inside the Forest of Death, Naruto's team leaped through the trees. They paused at a river after a 10-minute journey. Naruto created 300 clones, 2/3 of which transformed into his teammates before setting off to locate an enemy team. He reassured Satsuki and Sakura that his clones would handle the search while he ensured they had enough food. He unsealed his canteen, filling it with 1,000 liters of water thanks to his storage seals, and placed it in his pocket before gathering firewood. While Naruto was away, Satsuki and Sakura reflected on their past treatment of him. They recalled how Naruto had always been alone while they had families. Satsuki expressed her sympathy for Naruto, acknowledging his loneliness, while Sakura wished they could connect with him beyond their shared experiences in Team 7 and the Academy. When Naruto returned with logs, he placed them by the river and sent his clones away. He settled down and explained that they would wait for his clones to return with a scroll and set traps around their camp. Soon, 10 clones returned with an earth scroll, which they handed to Naruto before disappearing. Gaining their memories, Naruto learned they had obtained it from a team from the Stone Village. He then suggested to Satsuki and Sakura that they move forward, confident that his clones had marked the area. As they navigated through the forest, they spotted Naruto's clones clearing a path ahead. Eventually, they reached the tower and opened the scrolls, where they encountered their sensei, Kara Hataki. Kara expressed her satisfaction with the team and informed them they would stay in the tower for 5 days. After 5 days of waiting for the third part of the exam to begin, 9 full teams arrived. 4 from the leaf, 1 from the sand, 1 from the sound, 1 from the cloud, 1 from the whirlpool, and 1 from stone. Naruto found himself observing Hiruzen Sarutobi, Minato Namikaze, and Ai, feeling the weight of their gazes. He smiled at the 2 redheads, a blonde girl, and their sensei while watching the screen. The first match featured Satsuki against a sound ninja, which she won decisively. As the matches progressed, Naruto's name appeared on the list: Naruto Uzumaki versus Narumi Uzumaki Namikaze. Narumi, who resembled her father, jumped down from the railing. They positioned themselves on opposite sides of the stage. Naruto greeted Narumi with a smile, acknowledging her as his opponent. Narumi referred to him as Fox, prompting Naruto to recall that Minato had sealed the 9 tails within him. He glanced at the stands, realizing that he would typically wait for her to make a mistake, but knowing Minato, she had likely been trained not to make any. Naruto decided it was time to reveal his ultimate technique. His hair transformed, and he activated his special eyes, leaving everyone in awe. In an instant, he appeared beside Narumi and informed her that she needed to become much stronger before she could even hope to touch him. Narumi, determined, began to throw punches at Naruto, who effortlessly dodged her attacks with his hands casually tucked in his pockets. After a flurry of strikes, Naruto caught her arms and gazed into her eyes, complimenting her cuteness and expressing a desire to go out with her. Narumi blushed and firmly rejected the idea. In a playful gesture, Naruto kissed her cheek, causing her to blush even more as she called him foolish. He then released her and jumped back. Narumi, undeterred, launched her chains at Naruto. He swiftly deactivated them and moved behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. He suggested they go for barbecue, but Narumi quickly moved away. In a surprising turn, Naruto struck the back of her head, knocking her unconscious. He stepped away from the stage and ascended the stairs, while Narumi's parents glared at him, clearly furious. Meanwhile, Narumi's siblings watched with jealousy. Naruto picked her up and leaped to the railings, handing her over to their sensei, Kushina. He then made his way to the Leaf Village side, standing against the wall beside his team. Satsuki inquired about his eyes, prompting Naruto to explain that they were called analysis or cancel. He could read and dispel jutsu after observing them, similar to how she could read chakra. The more powerful the technique, the longer it took to cancel. Everyone around him was astonished by his abilities. Naruto mentioned that he needed rest, as his eyes had been active for 3 straight days. He approached Kushina's team, surprised to discover he had family members left. His gaze then fell on Orochimaru, the sound ninja sensei, and without hesitation he charged forward and kicked him, causing Orochimaru to drop his disguise. Naruto demanded to know why Orochimaru was there. Activating his eyes, he drew his blades of chaos and engaged in battle. The sight of a Sannin being overpowered by a Genin shocked everyone. Orochimaru retaliated with his sword, but their strikes collided. Orochimaru, intrigued, complimented Naruto's eyes and attempted to bite him, but Naruto anticipated the move and evaded it. With his blades ignited, Naruto continued to strike at Orochimaru. Outside the fight, others tried to intervene, but a seal prevented them from doing so. Naruto pressed on, relentlessly attacking Orochimaru until he finally subdued him. Breathing heavily, he noticed a sword embedded in his stomach and pulled it out, using the blade to cauterize the wound. After standing up, Naruto moved to the wall to heal himself, carefully canceling each seal he encountered. Once he was finished, he returned home and placed protective seals around his house. He created a clone that headed to the Forest of Death, where matches were taking place, while the real Naruto settled down for a well-deserved sleep. After the first part of the exam, Naruto was set to face Niji Hyuga. Over time, Naruto had created 500 shadow clones, 200 for sealing techniques, 200 for taijutsu, and 100 for medical jutsu. His real self felt the weight of 500 pounds on each limb, which gradually increased to 750 pounds. Naruto then developed a jutsu that took 30 seconds to analyze or cancel. This jutsu, Wind Style, Wind Dragon Missile, was of S-rank caliber, capable of piercing and throwing damage. It summoned 5 dragons, each 100 meters tall, that could travel 250 meters forward. As he prepared for the Chunin stage, Naruto knew he needed to be ready for anything. With a playful wink at Niji, he noticed her blush. The referee signaled the start of the match. Niji charged at Naruto, who skillfully dodged and countered with a punch to her back. Niji retaliated with the 64 trigrams palm, landing hits on Naruto. He stepped back and transformed, his eyes turning blue and his hair black. Naruto then leaped forward, delivering a chop to the back of Niji's head, causing her to fall unconscious. He carefully picked her up and handed her over to the nurses. Noticing the lack of cheers, he sighed and returned to his normal form before jumping into the stands. As he watched the other matches unfold, he noted that Satsuki had lost, while Gaara struggled to stand. Shino and Temari emerged victorious, and Naruko and Nami triumphed over the Stone Ninja. Yujito and Samui also performed well against the 2 Sound Ninja. The stage was now set for the next round: Naruto vs Nami, Gaara vs Naruko, Temari vs Samui, and Yujito vs Shino. After a long rest, Naruto focused on Nami, waiting for her to make a move. Nami sent chains flying toward him, prompting Naruto to activate his transformation. He dodged the chains, creating 3 clones that charged at Nami. In response, she formed a clone and prepared a Rasengan, amplifying its chakra. Naruto analyzed the Rasengan, noting its increased complexity. He unsealed his weapons, igniting the blades of chaos, and slashed at the Rasengan. Then he moved behind Nami, delivering a punch that sent her staggering back. She quickly regained her footing and fixed her gaze on him. Naruto took a fighting stance, blades in hand, and advanced toward Nami. She unleashed her chains again, but he skillfully maneuvered around them, targeting her leg muscles to incapacitate her. Nami fell to the ground, struggling to stand. She created a clone to support her, but it wasn't enough, and she collapsed onto her back. As Naruto approached, Nami looked at him with confusion. He offered a light-hearted comment, suggesting she should get her injury checked, as he had cut her muscle, and Tsunade could heal it easily. Nami conceded, saying she gave up. Naruto assisted her in reaching the medics before returning to the stands. By the end of the day, the final contenders were Naruto, Gaara, Samui, and Yujito. Minato then made a surprising announcement, revealing that Naruto Uzumaki was his son. He explained how he had sealed the Nine Tails within Naruto, believing that one day he would harness its power to make the village great. Naruto hoped everyone had heeded the last words of the fourth Hokage, treating him as a hero rather than the beast they feared. This thought made him chuckle softly, as he had not been treated well at all. Minato then inquired about how they had treated his son. Naruto felt the urge to unleash his power but held back. Minato informed everyone that they had 2 weeks before the next part of the exam and that changes were being made. Naruto and the others sought some rest. The first thing Naruto did was increase his weight from 750 pounds to 800 pounds. He activated his security seals, took a shower, dressed, and prepared a meal of ramen and milk. After boiling the water and pouring it over the ramen, he disposed of the expired milk and waited for his meal to finish cooking. Once he ate, he went to bed. 2 weeks of intense training followed, focusing on Fuinjutsu and medical jutsu with his clones. Naruto worked on his clothing, sending out 100 clones to gather metal, chakra-infused materials, or any good-looking fabric. He admired his work as he donned his new suit, attaching blades to his back and wrapping chains around his arms, which began to glow. Leaving his apartment, Naruto made his way to the exam hall, noticing the stairs filled with disdain from the crowd. He leaped from building to building until he reached the stage, where he spotted Gaara, Samui, and Yujito. His match was against Yujito. As the matches commenced, Gaara and Samui left to watch from a different area. Yujito transformed, activating her second-tailed beast form, growing a tail and blue ears. Naruto activated his own abilities, his hair turning black as he prepared for the fight. When the referee signaled the start, both fighters charged forward, their legs colliding. Naruto calculated that he needed 5 minutes to analyze her chakra moves. He dodged her attacks, leaping into the air, but Yujito countered and lunged at him. Naruto blocked her strike with both arms. Yujito intensified her assault, channeling more chakra into her attacks. Naruto felt the impact as he was pushed against the wall, his arms burning from the force of her punches. Summoning 2 clones, they kicked Yujito back, allowing the real Naruto to charge at her with kunai in hand. However, she skillfully dodged his throws. 1 clone assisted him out of the wall, while the other engaged Yujito. As Naruto's clones were defeated, he ignited his blades of chaos, the flames growing brighter. He rushed forward just as Yujito extended her claws. She attempted to slash him, but he evaded her strike and delivered a half-powered slash, causing her to fall unconscious. He sheathed his blades and examined his arms, which bore dark spots from the battle. Looking over, he saw Gaara and Samui leaving the room while Yujito was being treated by a nurse. The match between Gaara and Samui began, and Naruto observed their movements closely, reflecting on how narrowly he had won against Yujito and considering strategies for dealing with tailed beast chakra. In the fight, Gaara used sand for defense, but Samui activated a seal that summoned water, rendering the sand ineffective. Samui then knocked Gaara out. Naruto sent a seal to stabilize Gaara, allowing her to rest. The referee announced a break for all fighters, stating that the Chunin exam would resume at 11 a.m., urging everyone to get some sleep. Naruto leaped down, gazing at the sky, feeling the weight in his arms. The Uzumaki Namikaze's family looked on with concern. He cradled his arms in pain as he and Samui exited the stage and returned to their quarters. Once inside, Naruto bandaged his arms and back with the help of 2 clones before changing into his pajamas. After the clones dispelled, he settled under the covers and drifted off to sleep. When Naruto awoke, his arms were still sore. He stood up and went to the bathroom, removing the bandages with the assistance of 2 clones. After dispelling them, he took a long shower. Once refreshed, he dressed in his second suit, securing his weapons on his back. Naruto stepped outside, placing his dirty clothes in the wash before heading to the Chunin exam arena. Arriving early, he meditated in the center for 30 minutes until he sensed movement behind him. Turning, he saw his father, mother, and sisters, along with 2 unfamiliar figures, one with blonde hair and the other with white hair. Staying calm, Naruto greeted them. Minato smiled and asked how his stay in the leaf had been. Naruto looked at his father and considered his response, unsure of how to describe the villagers' treatment. The sensei of Team 7 showed favoritism, as Naruto felt he was only being taught chakra control. He had practiced with clones, but beyond that, he received little guidance. However, his sensei had left scrolls for him that enhanced his speed and threat. Kushina asked why Naruto wasn't surprised to learn they were his parents. He explained that he resembled Minato's picture and that they shared the same appearance. The Uzumaki Namikaze's family had begun on the day he was born. As Naruto prepared for his match against Samui to become a Chunin, Minato mentioned he was working on a plan with Hiruzen, who was giving them their family back. Suddenly, Naruto heard a crack behind him, and time seemed to stop. Turning around, he found himself in a forest. As he walked forward, he noticed something unusual. He instinctively reached for his weapon, but it vanished. Activating his eyes, Naruto's hair turned black. He removed his weights and sent them flying toward the corrupted fairy he sensed nearby. He created 10 shadow clones and performed hand signs, summoning 5 dragon heads that charged at the corrupted fairy. The creature was overwhelmed, and as it fell to the ground, wooden tendrils emerged to strike at Naruto. He blocked them with one of his weights and hurled it at the fairy's body. Naruto's clones advanced, channeling chakra into their fists as they stomped down on the fairy. Just then, a weapon appeared before him. His arm burned as he grasped it, and he saw a vision of a smaller figure, a fairy controlling a spear with its mind. He recognized the different forms of Chastiful, the weapon he held. 3 corrupted fairies appeared, and Naruto activated the 4th form of Chastiful, turning 2 of them to ash. He then unleashed the 5th form, summoning 200 spearheads that flew toward the remaining fairies. He transformed Chastiful into a pillow, which floated around him as he began to meditate. 30 minutes passed quickly, and he picked up his weights before stepping through the crack in reality. Naruto reappeared where time had stopped, placing the pillow in his armor. He realized he had only 85 minutes before he needed to be ready. As he walked, Tsunade grabbed his arm, causing him to feel pain. He pulled away, reminding her not to grab someone's arm without permission. With a leap, he landed on the roof of the Chunin exam arena, where he waited for 80 minutes, snacking on a packet of crisps before disposing of it and jumping down to the arena. Now facing Samui, he greeted her, hoping she was well rested. She nodded, expressing concern about whether Yujito had hurt his arms too badly. Naruto admitted that it still hurt but reassured her it would be fine. He contemplated how to defeat this Kenjutsu expert as they took their positions in the arena. The match began, and before Samui could make a move, Naruto unsealed Chastiful and sat on the pillow. Activating his eyes, he declared the 1st form of Chastiful. He circled Samui, who readied her kunai and sword. She threw a kunai at him, but he skillfully dodged it. Naruto then activated the 4th form, summoning a ray of sunlight that he directed at Samui. She narrowly avoided it, leaping up to slash at him. The blade grazed his cheek, drawing blood. He quickly moved away and created another ray of sunlight, which struck Samui and sent her crashing into the wall, leaving her unconscious. Naruto approached her, and the sunflower transformed into a pillow. He jumped onto it and floated toward Samui's body, using Chastiful to heal her as best he could. Activating the 7th form, a drop of light descended, fully healing her. He then extended his arms, and another drop of light healed him completely before Chastiful reverted back into a pillow. Hiruzen awarded Naruto the title of Shinobi of the Year and Samui the title of Kunoichi. He approached Samui and shook her hand. She inquired about the weapons he used, and he explained that Chastiful was the Fairy King's weapon, revered by fairies and meant to maintain peace. The blades he wielded were known as the Blades of Chaos, forged by the will of the god of war, capable of harming anything. As he began to walk away, he turned back to add that he also possessed jutsus, not just expertise with weapons. Samui followed him. At the Kage's stand, the Raikage, remarked on how much stronger Naruto had become and questioned the nature of his weapons. Hiruzen admitted he was unaware, noting that Naruto hadn't visited his office for lunch since returning from the wave. Meanwhile, Naruto glanced at Samui and asked why she was following him. She moved closer and asked where he had obtained those weapons. He explained that she couldn't acquire them without his eyes, as they were found in a crack of space and time. He had to defeat what lay within to claim them, having faced a demon and vanquished 4 corrupted fairies. So they were finished. Samui asked about Naruto's weapon, curious about its capabilities. He explained that his 5 Chastiful had various forms. Form 1 was a spear, Form 2 was a guardian, Form 3 was fossilization, Form 4 was a sunflower, Form 5 was increase, Form 8 was pollen garden, and he was unsure about Form 6, and as he spoke, he activated each form, demonstrating their unique abilities. Samui remarked that he had gone easy on her. Naruto acknowledged this, explaining that if he unleashed all his power, he wouldn't be able to control it, which could be dangerous for her. He had only used 40% of his power during the sunflower attack. Samui quietly expressed a wish that he lived in the Cloud Village, believing he would be a perfect fit there. Naruto, curious, asked her to repeat herself. She complimented him and his weapons, which made him smile. He considered visiting the Cloud Village, thinking that if the Leaf's council viewed him as more of a demon, he might find a new home there. Feeling fatigued from using his power to heal both her and himself after Yujito's attack, Naruto decided it was time to return to his apartment for some rest. Samui wished him a good rest as he left the area. He jumped back to his apartment, activated his space, and fell asleep. After the Chunin exams, the villages were trying to understand Naruto's abilities. In the Leaf, there were efforts to uncover how he acquired his weapons, as they believed it would be advantageous to have control over them. Naruto skillfully avoided the council's inquiries and the questions from his family, even steering clear of his sensei due to what he had learned from his recent battles. He had embarked on a training trip outside the village. In a flashback, Naruto approached the Hokage's office and entered, facing Hiruzen. The Hokage greeted him warmly, asking how he could assist him. Naruto expressed his desire to go on a 3-year training trip alone. Hiruzen questioned why he should agree to this request. Naruto mentioned the rumor that Minato was returning to the village with the clan members. Hiruzen confirmed that Minato would indeed become the 4th Hokage again. Feeling overwhelmed by the revelation of his parents' abandonment, Naruto requested a break. Hiruzen wrote him a pass for his training trip, handing it to Naruto, who expressed his gratitude before leaving to gather his belongings. He sealed a home in a scroll he had created, which cost around 100,000 yen, and then ran through the village gates. The flashback ended as Naruto found himself in a cave in a dangerous area, one that the 5 great nations avoided. He retrieved the scroll containing his home and set it down, unpacking his belongings. He placed his bags on the second bed and organized his Fuinjutsu training materials on the table. After changing into his pajamas, he secured the cave with defensive seals to ensure safety and keyed the door to his DNA. He transformed his Chastiful into a pillow, held it close, and drifted off to sleep. After months of training, Naruto had significantly improved his control over the blasts from his Chastiful weapons. He also focused on enhancing his Blades of Chaos, reducing the transformation time for each weapon to just 2 to 3 seconds. He felt satisfied with his progress after the first 6 months. In the following 6 months, he dedicated himself to Fuinjutsu, reaching level 8 and mastering the ability to seal away tailed beasts within 25 to 30 seconds. He also worked on creating new jutsu. One of his creations was a technique called Fire Wind Lightning Style, Shocking Winds of Fire, which combined wind, lightning, and fire to create a powerful attack that could disrupt an enemy's chakra system and inflict severe burns. As he battled demons, he noticed that his blades grew stronger with each victory, having defeated over 1,000 demons and 50 corrupted fairies. In the final 6 months, he focused on medical jutsu, honing his skills in muscle and skin healing, even applying his knowledge to animals. He became a summoner for foxes and wolves. During this time, the Kyuubi compelled Naruto to enter his mind and reveal the events of the night of his birth, explaining that he had been controlled by an Uchiha. Naruto confronted his Yin chakra and mastered the Nine Tails chakra, gaining control over all tailed beasts. He even learned to HRS the full-tailed beast form for 1 hour. He had mastered the Rasengan, incorporating fire and wind elements, and even achieved the tailed beast form. He was pleased with his progress. On the final day, he packed his belongings and left his home, placing seals to protect the habitats of the foxes and wolves nearby. As he moved away, he waved goodbye to the wolves and foxes. His journey took him to the Leaf Village, where he hoped to witness the future of the shinobi world. Upon reaching the entrance of the Leaf Village, he presented his notes to the guard, explaining his absence for 3 years due to training. He headed straight to Kage Mountain, taking a moment to enjoy the peaceful breeze. After a short while, he quickly made his way to the Kage Tower, where he found Hiruzen waiting for him. Hiruzen observed Naruto and remarked on how mature he had become. Naruto scratched the back of his head and chuckled, acknowledging that he had to grow up eventually. He settled onto the couch beside the Kage's table and mentioned that his training had contributed to his growth. Hiruzen informed him that members of the Uzumaki family had moved into the Uchiha compound, now known as the Uzumaki compound, as the previous location brought back painful memories of their clan's tragedy. Naruto was thrilled to learn that the Uzumaki clan had a place of their own. Hiruzen continued, explaining that there were 100 Uzumakis, with 40 of them under the age of 30 and the rest under 70. Curious about the clan's strength, Naruto learned that they were primarily high Jounin, with the elders ranging from low to high Kage, while the younger members were high Chunin, and those under 10 were at the Genin level. Naruto shared that he had faced many challenges and refined his skills in medical jutsu, ninjutsu, and kenjutsu. He then decided it was time to leave and jumped out of the window. As he approached his home, he discovered it was completely destroyed. He went to the apartment and sent out hundreds of clones to begin repairs. Afterward, he purchased 5 houses, spending around 500,000 yen, and took on a D-rank mission. He found the task of babysitting the Lord of Fire's child easy, earning 100,000 yen. He then checked into a hotel for a few days, moving his belongings into the center of the room. He locked the doors and placed seals for safety while he slept, choosing to rest in his fighting gear. Naruto spent the following days exploring the village, seeking some peace and quiet after his return. He enjoyed ramen at Ichiraku's, which had grown larger than he remembered. While there, he noticed 2 girls named Akami and Jessica. He ordered 5 bowls of miso ramen, and as they prepared his meal, Akami complimented him on his transformation, saying he looked more attractive. Naruto returned the compliment, noting how much Akami had grown as well, causing her to blush. He appreciated her observation about his newfound confidence and began to eat his ramen. After finishing his meal and paying 1,250 yen, he made his way to Training Ground 7, where he saw Kakashi training Sakura and Satsuki for the last time. They appeared much more developed than he remembered. Approaching them, he greeted the girls, who were focused on their element control, Satsuki with lightning and Sakura with earth. They turned to face him, taking in his changed appearance. Satsuki remarked on his transformation, while Naruto acknowledged their maturity. Sakura noted his impressive muscles, which made him smile modestly. He suggested they spar to assess their current levels. As they prepared, Kara, who was present, almost mistook him for Minato, his father. Naruto inquired about the rules, and Kara stated that only ninjutsu and taijutsu were allowed. He confirmed he had full mastery over the Nine Tails chakra and could transform into the tailed beast for an hour while using its chakra for 4 days straight. He emphasized that he only accessed the Nine Tails chakra when necessary, showcasing his strength. Kara asked if he trusted the Nine Tails, to which Naruto confidently replied that he did. He then transformed into the Nine Tails, creating an intense atmosphere around them. He explained that he had developed a seal to contain 4 tails worth of chakra, allowing him to maintain control without disturbing the Nine Tails during rest. After demonstrating his power, he reverted to his normal form and suggested that everyone should rest, as he had already registered back into the village. Naruto decided to take a break and rest in his new hotel room. He donned his cloak and swiftly moved out of the way, demonstrating incredible speed. He made his way to his apartment, landing in his room where he began to meditate, reaching out to the Nine Tails to check on her well-being. Inside his mind space, Naruto wandered through his memories, searching for the door that led to the previous child of prophecy. After some time, he entered a clearing and found Kurumi peacefully sleeping. He spent about an hour exploring his mind, moving quickly in search of the door that would lead him to the light. Upon entering, he encountered a figure who looked at him and acknowledged his arrival. The figure introduced himself as the Sage of Six Paths, revealing a connection to Naruto as either his father or his reincarnated son. Naruto moved closer, curious about the hidden room that both he and Kurumi had been unaware of. The sage floated around Naruto, observing him intently. He remarked on Naruto's impressive power, questioning why he seemed to possess more strength than previous reincarnations. Naruto mentioned his weapons, Chastiful and the Blades of Chaos, which surprised the sage, who recognized their formidable nature. The sage warned Naruto that he would need to grow even stronger to face the impending threat of the Ten Tails. He advised Naruto to protect the Jinchuriki of each tailed beast to ensure their safety. Naruto agreed, planning to start with the first Jinchuriki and seek alliances with all the nations to safeguard them. The sage encouraged Naruto's plan for an alliance, emphasizing the importance of unity in the face of danger. Naruto contemplated his strategy, considering alliances with various villages and the possibility of political marriages to strengthen ties. He also thought about creating a safe haven, suggesting that he could enlist the help of a wood user nearby to construct a town fortified with seals containing chakra from the sage's children. As their conversation concluded, Naruto felt a surge of power coursing through him, his body hardening like steel. The sage vanished, leaving Naruto to return to his mindscape. Meanwhile, the Akatsuki were making their move toward the sand. Members Sasori and Deidara walked slowly, cloaks billowing behind them as they approached their destination. Back in the Leaf Village, Naruto, in his Chastiful form, floated toward the sand while Team 7 and Team 9 leaped through the forest in pursuit. Activating his Nine Tails cloak, Naruto summoned 7 tails that wrapped around his allies in sequence: Satsuki, Sakura, Guy, Niji, Lei, Tenten, and Kara. Earlier, Naruto had visited the Kage's office to discuss forming alliances with other villages. Standing before Hiruzen, he expressed the urgency of warning the Jinchuriki about an imminent threat. Hiruzen listened intently, recognizing the danger that lay ahead. Naruto explained that the threat came from the Akatsuki, whose members were powerful enough to rival a Kage and were intent on capturing the Jinchuriki. Hiruzen nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. This was an S-rank mission. Naruto Uzumaki was tasked with ensuring a group of people would not leave, accompanied by Teams 7, and Hiruzen made a hand sign, summoning 2 ANBU members, instructing them to gather Team 7, and after they jumped out of the window, Naruto pondered the strength of the 2 teams. Hiruzen reflected that Team 9 was composed of low Jounin while Team 7 was made up of high Jounin. Naruto nodded, feeling relieved that they had trained hard. After waiting for 10 minutes, the ANBU returned with Teams 7 and Hiruzen explained the mission to both teams, and they prepared to leave in 1 hour. Naruto leaped into the forest of death, filling his flask with water from a nearby source. He then chopped down some trees, storing the wood in his seal. Transforming his Chastiful into a pillow, he floated toward the Leaf Village gates. 30 minutes later, Teams 7 and 9 arrived, and Naruto urged them to move quickly to avoid being late. Activating his Chastiful Form 1, he sat on his spear, and they set off. They traveled swiftly, moving at 40 miles per hour toward the sand. After a full day of travel, they finally reached their destination. There, they witnessed Gar being thrown around. Naruto activated his second Chastiful, Guardian, which shielded Gaara, causing her to fall unconscious. The Guardian then seized Sasori, but the real Sasori escaped from the puppet as it turned to stone. Naruto's chastiful returned to him, transforming into a sword. He manipulated it to strike at Deidara, severing one of his arms before aiming for another limb. Sasori pulled Deidara away, and they landed next to each other. Team 9 secured Gaara and set up defenses to protect her. As Naruto maneuvered around the Akatsuki, he saw Sasori unsealing his 1,000 puppets. Naruto transformed his chastiful into its fourth form, Sunset, and unleashed a blast at all the puppets. Sasori attempted to block the attack with his puppets, but Naruto increased the blast's power to its maximum, destroying all of them. Deidara, on the verge of activating his self-destruct bomb, was intercepted by Naruto, who activated his third chastiful, stabbing Deidara in the stomach. As Deidara began to turn to stone, Sasori lunged at Naruto, knocking him back. Sasori approached Deidara to retrieve the third form chastiful but found it stuck. Naruto leaped at Sasori, blades of chaos in hand, ready to strike, but Deidara intervened, throwing Sasori out of harm's way before succumbing to stone. Naruto's chastiful shifted back to its second form, Guardian. He flew towards Sasori, preparing to slash him, but Sasori evaded. With his chaos blades sheathed, Naruto transformed his chastiful into its fifth form, Increase, sending spearheads flying directly at Sasori. The chastiful circled around Sasori, ultimately impaling him. Sasori's head was destroyed, and Naruto's chastiful reverted to its fourth form. He summoned a ray of sunlight directed at Sasori, reducing him to dust. As he landed, Naruto noticed a black spot on his stomach. Activating his seventh chastiful, a drop of light fell on his head, healing his wounds. He then picked up Gaara, placing her beneath his flower. The flower emitted light, healing her injuries. With Gaara secured on his back, teams 7 and 9 departed. Later, Naruto received 100 million yen from ANBU for dealing with 2 members of the Akatsuki, who were listed in the bingo book. He entrusted Gaara to her sister for rest and fixed her seal to ensure she could sleep peacefully. Sitting in the hospital with teams 7 and 9, Naruto awaited the Kazekage's recovery, concerned about Gaara's condition and her future training. Yujito, the second-tailed beast, was engaged in a fierce battle against the Akatsuki members Haiden and Ku. As the fight intensified, she transformed into her second tails mode. Meanwhile, at a nearby hotel, Naruto and his team were resting. Naruto, in his chastiful second form, had fallen asleep, with his guardian ensuring his safety. After several hours, he awoke and decided to float to the hospital where Gaara was recuperating. An ANBU member escorted him to the hospital, and they landed right in front of Gaara's room, where she sat up, her blanket covering her legs. Naruto felt a surge of happiness at seeing her awake. He expressed the need for them to work together against the Akatsuki. Gaara, slightly flustered by Naruto's presence, agreed that collaboration was essential. Naruto smiled and sat beside her on the bed, their backs touching. He emphasized the importance of enlisting the help of the other tailed beasts and their Jinchuriki. Gaara, concerned about her responsibilities as Kazekage, questioned how they could defeat the Akatsuki while she needed to remain in the village. Naruto proposed a political marriage to secure their alliance when he returned to the Leaf. With determination, Naruto performed hand signs and summoned 3 wolves. He retrieved a scroll detailing his mission to ensure the safety of the second and eighth-tailed beasts. He placed the scroll on one of the wolves and instructed them to deliver it to the Hokage, reminding them to be careful on their journey. The wolves nodded and leaped away toward the Leaf. Naruto then expressed his commitment to ensuring the safety of the second-tailed beast's Jinchuriki. Gaara urged him to be cautious, and he reassured her that he would inform his team about his mission. With that, he jumped out of the hospital, his chastiful transforming into its spear form as he sped toward the cloud. As Naruto raced toward the cloud, Yujito was skillfully evading Haiden's slashes and Kazuku's blasts. Just as Haiden prepared to strike, Naruto arrived in time to block the attack with a protective barrier. In a flashback, Naruto had sensed Yujito's weakened chakra while making his way to the cloud. He had pushed forward at full speed, arriving just in time to shield her from Haiden's scythe with his guardian form. Returning to the present, Naruto transformed his chastiful into its fourth form, unleashing a powerful light beam at Haiden. The battle continued, with Naruto's chastiful shifting forms to counter Haiden's attacks. Haiden slowly turned to stone, while Naruto focused on Kazuku, launching a series of fiery slashes that incapacitated him. With Kazuku weakened, Naruto swiftly dispatched him, sealing his head in a scroll and ensuring he could no longer pose a threat. He then gathered his weapons and returned to his guardian form, lifting Yujito into his arms as they prepared to leave the battlefield. After 20 minutes of swift travel, Naruto and Yujito reached the gates of the cloud. As they landed, cloud ninjas and Anbu surrounded them. Naruto created 5 shadow clones for protection while he carefully laid Yujito down. He informed the Anbu about the Akatsuki's attack and mentioned that he had defeated Haiden and Kazuku, sealing Kazuku's head in a scroll. The Reikage Anbu soon arrived. I quickly took Yujito into his arms, demanding to know what had happened. Naruto explained the situation, noting that he had felt the presence of 4 Akatsuki members, but now they were no longer a threat. He congratulated Naruto on rescuing Yujito, and Naruto expressed his intention to heal her. His chastiful transformed into its 7th form, and a drop of healing light descended upon Yujito, beginning to mend her wounds. Naruto needed to return before the Akatsuki targeted Gaara again. I suggested waiting for Yujito to wake up, and Naruto nodded, sensing that something dangerous was approaching. He believed that all the villages Cloud, Leaf, Sand, Mist, and Stone would need to unite in an alliance. After a long day of explaining his role as the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails and the abilities of his Swords of Chaos, which could cut through anything, even immortality, Naruto detailed the Akatsuki's intentions. They sought to bring peace, albeit through their own means. With 10 clones at his side, each possessing a fraction of his power, Naruto set up seals to ensure the safety of the Jinchuriki and the Cloud Village. He then activated his chastiful and headed back to the Sand Village. After 3 hours of traveling at half speed, he arrived under the cover of night. He donned a cloak and moved swiftly toward the hospital, where he found Gaara still recovering. Naruto approached Gaara's bedside and placed a scroll detailing how he had rescued Yujito from 2 Akatsuki members, both of whom were nearly immortal. After leaving the hospital, he strolled with his hands in his pockets, his chastiful floating beside him. He soon reached a park and began to reflect on his past in the Leaf Village, recalling how often he felt forgotten. Kurama, the Nine Tails, spoke to him, reminding Naruto that the past was behind him. He was now strong enough to face any challenge, including the Akatsuki and the council that sought to turn him into an emotionless weapon. Kurama reassured Naruto that he would never be alone again, especially after saving the village and now aiming to save the shinobi world. Naruto chuckled at Kurama's encouraging words and expressed his desire to feel loved for who he was, not just for his strength or lineage. Kurama acknowledged Naruto's feelings and emphasized that he would always stand by him because Naruto had not succumbed to hatred. Feeling uplifted, Naruto took a seat on a swing in the park, grateful for the support. He decided it was time to rest, having expended a lot of energy that day. He flew back to his hotel room using his guardian, entered through the window, and locked the door behind him. After a refreshing shower, he dressed in comfortable clothes and settled into bed, ready for sleep. The next morning, Naruto woke up and fixed his messy hair in front of the mirror. He donned his battle suit and leaped toward the Leaf Village, enjoying the peacefulness of the moment. The gentle breeze, the grass brushing against his legs, and a bird landing on his shoulder brought him tranquility. He cherished these moments of being himself, free from the burdens of battle. Lying down on the grass, he closed his eyes and relaxed for 4 hours before standing up and jumping into the trees, continuing his journey to the Leaf Village. After 5 hours of travel, he finally reached the village gate, where he greeted the guards before heading to the Kage's tower. Upon entering, he found Hiruzen surrounded by shadow clones doing paperwork while the real Hiruzen enjoyed a cup of tea. Naruto greeted him casually, informing him that the mission had been completed swiftly and effectively, having dealt with 4 formidable threats. Hiruzen acknowledged Naruto's success and assured him that the payment for the S-rank mission would be deposited into his account. Naruto mentioned his intention to rest, and Hiruzen took the opportunity to promote him to Jounin, expressing confidence in his abilities. He also shared that Naruto would soon be mentoring 3 new Genins, Hinata Hyuga, Iris Nara, and Jessie Hyuga, encouraging him to visit the academy to check on their progress. Naruto agreed to the arrangement, excited about the prospect of training his students in Kenjutsu and Taijutsu, though he wondered if they would be interested in learning from him. Hiruzen reassured him that the students were eager to learn and advised Naruto to take some time to relax after his recent battles. Naruto nodded, ready to embrace the next chapter of his journey. It was relaxing for Naruto to be back home. He jumped out of the Kage's office and landed on top of the Kage's mountain, standing proudly on the head of the 4th Hokage as he looked down at the hidden leaf village. After spending some time at the mountain, Naruto returned home and fell asleep. The next day, he woke up and headed to Training Ground 7. He removed his shirt and increased his weight to 1,500 pounds, feeling the heaviness settle on his body. He began exercising to strengthen his legs. As he moved around, he noticed Satsuki and Sakura approaching. Naruto smiled at them, and they both felt a rush of warmth at the sight of him, shirtless and glistening with sweat. He performed a forward flip, landing gracefully on his feet. He greeted the girls, asking what they were up to. Sakura replied that they were just going to train. Naruto nodded, offering to help them. He expressed his confidence in his abilities and mentioned that he could teach them a more effective way to improve their taijutsu. Sakura and Satsuki agreed, and Naruto began training them. He refined Sakura's taijutsu from good to amazing, while Satsuki's skills became deadly. As he demonstrated his own taijutsu, it was evident to both girls just how powerful his techniques were. After some time, Naruto left them to gain battle experience with each other. He returned 3 hours later to find them exhausted on the ground. Satsuki was breathing lightly, while Sakura was panting heavily, both drenched in sweat. Naruto smiled and approached them with a can of lemonade. They eagerly opened it and drank quickly. He chuckled, thinking he should have advised them to take it slow, but he had brought 2 more cans for them. He handed them a plastic bag containing the additional drinks. As he moved away, he turned back to remind them to head home in 10 minutes, get something to eat, and go to bed early to wake up and practice their ninjutsu. With that, he made his way back to his apartment. The story would continue with more action and Naruto exploring his abilities beyond just his chastiful and blades of chaos, as he sought to balance his overwhelming power. 3 weeks had passed since Naruto gained the power of his eyes, and he was currently focused on enhancing his physical abilities. Weights of 200 pounds were attached to each limb, thanks to the seals he had been studying. At level 4, he was performing at a low to medium Jounin level. Naruto was at Training Ground 8, waiting for his team to arrive. As they approached, he greeted them cheerfully, acknowledging Kara, Satsuki, and Sakura. Kara Hataki, dressed in her Jounin attire, noticed Naruto's absence the previous day and asked how he was doing. Naruto scratched the back of his head, explaining that he had been training and was wearing weights to improve his body. Kara nodded, then informed Naruto that she would be training Satsuki and Sakura while suggesting he practice water walking. She demonstrated the technique on the water, encouraging him to follow suit. Naruto, eager to learn, expressed his desire for new clothes, wishing for something other than his usual orange attire. Kara thought for a moment before recommending a blacksmith named Karkin, where he could find suitable clothing. With a determined nod, Naruto set off for the Karkin blacksmith shop to find better clothes. Once there, he made shadow clones to assist him in practicing Kenjutsu. After purchasing a blade of chaos, he activated his eyes, causing his hair to turn black, and selected some new clothing. Outside, he created 10 shadow clones to help him craft clothes embedded with seals and chakra. After returning to his apartment, he deactivated his eyes, returning his hair to its original color. Inside, he took out the blades of chaos, which ignited in flames, glowing brightly. Satisfied with his progress, he stored the blades under his bed and prepared for sleep, while the clothing clones continued their work. 3 months later, Naruto's new clothes were ready. He had applied elemental resistance seals, chakra storage, and additional storage seals to the garments. Standing at Training Ground 7, he noticed Satsuki and Sakura blushing at his appearance. Kara soon arrived and announced that she had nominated Team 7 to participate in the Chunin exams, which would take place the following day. Naruto glanced at Kakashi but remained silent. Satsuki inquired about the villages participating in the exams, and Kara listed them, emphasizing the importance of respecting each village, especially since the fourth Hokage had ties to one of them. Sakura then recognized Naruto's clan name, Uzumaki, and he confirmed it, asking when the exam would begin. Kara informed them it was scheduled for 7:30 a.m. the next day, advising them to rest while she spoke with the girls. As Naruto began to leave the training ground, Kakashi approached Satsuki and Sakura. Kara instructed them to look after Naruto before leaping into the trees. The trio headed home to prepare their bags. Meanwhile, Naruto sent 6 clones to gather snacks, and they returned with potato crisps and sour cream.